I grew up with quilts. My grandmother and my aunts quilted. And I recall my aunts and mother talking about patches in those quilts from clothes that belonged to them. Those quilts held a lot of memories, their childhood and their youth. That's very special. I founded the Women of Color Quilters Network, and the objective has always been to find a place in the canon of American quilt history for African American quilts. We put those quilts in museums where viewers can see them. One of the shows that I curated was on jazz and had each quilt artist interpret their favorite jazz music or their favorite jazz artist. And I thought, what a wonderful combination. These two giants of artistic form coming from the African American community. When I was going to school in the South, we were not taught African American history. That was something, we didn't know anything. We were taught white history. I want people to know that African Americans have been contributors, and we are part of the very fabric of the country.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
I wanted to celebrate the election of the first Black president.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
So I put together an exhibition where the artists who were inspired by his election create a quilt about that. And the intent was not just to celebrate the president, but I wanted it to go deeper than that. On whose shoulders does a Black man stand to get from the slave ship to the White House? Many people and episodes in Black history propel that elevation. I curated an exhibition for the Women of Color Quilters Network to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. And that exhibition was a traveling exhibition as well. Wendy Kendrick made a quilt that deals with child labor, child tobacco workers. Carolyn Crumb's piece dealt with mass incarceration. One of the things the UN Declaration calls for is every human being has the right to a trial. After George Floyd was murdered, I put out a call for quilts dealing with issues of racism and police brutality. This man's death touched so many people, but me, as a mother, I was compelled to do this show. It could have been my son. People have to know how it feels to live in this Black skin in America and the things that uniquely happen to us because of our race. I heard from people from around the world telling me, I know what racism feels like as a person of color living in France or living in England or Japan. And I thought, how amazing when you can take a piece of cloth and tell a story that's so gut-wrenchingly heartfelt. I mean, that is powerful. As a young person, I remember watching the news and seeing the African American people during the Selma to Montgomery Civil Rights March. They were beaten back by the state troopers, and I distinctively remember one man on the ground being hit with a baton. At the time, I did not know that it was John Lewis. Years ago, I made a quilt about the Selma to Montgomery March. I often said in my mind, if I ever met John Lewis, I would give him that quilt. In 2014, I received an award in Washington, and I went to see John Lewis. He loved the quilt. He cried when he got it. And it was very moving. And I had my family there and one of my grandchildren. That was just one of the highlights of my life. People have to know, scholars have to know, 100 years from now or more, we were here participating in American quilt making.